I'm so excited to be here today. I'm so grateful that you've chosen to be part of this webinar series to have the happiest adolescent in your life. We're going to start with a presentation. We're going to go through some information. Initially, it's kind of sad. The state of affairs currently is not very happy. And then we're going to get into how we can take control of our inner experience. This series is going to be a 5-week series. Children's mental health has been ignored for a long time, and now it's on an accelerated path because of the stressors of the pandemic. Some families have lost jobs, some have moved, relocated, some kids have stopped going to school, and all of that all this transition has caused a lot of turmoil in our children, and especially adolescents, because they're also changing at a rapid rate, and they're experiencing this world from a very different perspective. Feelings are coming in that they don't know what to do with. And so how are we going to help them as parents? Every single day, I open up a new news article talking about child's mental health and what's going on with them and how we can help them. And this was an article published on the 26th of April, as you see, pretty recent. Adults are suffering. Mental health in adults is very poor right now as well. I am a board certified hospitalist with 10 years of experience, and I've never seen such high rates of mental health suffering with addictions, alcohol, you name it, everything. I have patients coming in with meth, alcohol, cocaine on board in one person. And it's really sad to watch because they're trying to dissociate. They're trying to disengage from this pain that they're feeling inside. Little do they know that there is ways that you can control that inner turmoil that you're going through, regardless of the cause. It could be from past trauma, it could be from present trauma, it could be a difficult situation you're in right now. But there are ways we can all employ that are very much in our hands and very reachable. We just have to commit and do it if you don't want to feel this way. When adults are suffering, children are suffering. It is not inseparable. We're not inseparable. We're the same. Why? Because we're sharing this environment, we're sharing genetics, we're sharing a home together, and we feel anxiety, and our children feel anxious. We feel anxiety and we react to things rapidly, and we react to things and we blow up on them. Well, it's going to cause the same thing in them. It's going to cause anxiety, depression, feelings of, oh, I'm not wanted. Little do they know that it's the parent who is having a tumultuous inner experience, and they just don't know how to control that. And oftentimes what I see is the adult who has passed out from heroin overdose, and they cannot be with their children. They cannot be present by any shape or form. I see people who use workouts or just not being home as a way to amend that I don't know how to be with myself, so I don't know how to be with my children. And if you're not there, then you cannot teach them, you cannot guide them. According to the National Institute for Drug Abuse, death by overdose doubled from 2015 to 2020. That's a huge statistic. And the number one cause was fentanyl, so opioids. And what are the children in these households doing? It is just so sad to watch as a physician that this is going on. That's why I'm stepping up. I've got to do something about it. I'm educating the country on media, on social media about these issues, and that there are things we can do. We don't need pills for them. We only need your commitment to yourself, to your happiness, to your children, and to your family. So what happens when we have an adult who's happy? They're loving, they're holding, they're peaceful. And look at the child. They're happy too, right? That anything that we're going through is not just contagious. We are absolutely affecting each other. It's as if we're all in one pool in a family. And if I'm splashing around, everyone in the pool is going to feel it, right? And if I'm calm and collected, everyone is going to feel that calm and collectedness. And they are going to feel my inner peace within themselves. So where to start? By loving yourself, number one. And you don't know how many clients I have that I even mention this and they start crying because they've never even thought about this concept of loving themselves. They always put it on somebody else loving them, parent loving them, a spouse loving them, a boyfriend loving them, someone outside of them, a girlfriend loving them, someone outside of themselves. If it's coming from within, that self-love is what fills us. That's the container that fills our being with that nourishing energy that we can bring to this world within ourselves if we are consciously doing it. And so happiness is within your hands, within your reach. And there are all kinds of tools that you can use. I can talk about medications all day long and prescribe medications all day long. But what I see in my practice is that they don't work unless the patient is completely committed to their own well-being and to their own happiness. My number one prescription for today for you is meditation. If you're going to take anything out of this, remember, one, that you are responsible for your inner experience and no one can touch your inner experience, and that your happiness is within your hands, within your control, and no one else's. Meditation is your very first step into that inner happiness and your family's happiness and your adolescent's happiness. We live in this super busy world, right? With media, news, and emails, and work, and jobs, and career, blah, 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 blah. And we forget who we are. Well, it's time to slow down and take a brain break. That's what meditation does. The boundaries that we set for ourselves is the container within which we have self-love for ourselves. With meditation, we're showing ourselves that, hey, love, I care about you, and I will take the next 15 minutes aside for you, and I will pay attention to you and only you, and take a brain break because I know you need it. This quote is really awesome. I love it. Condition your mind or someone else will. So we are constantly distracted by the world around us, by the Kardashians, by the news from Ukraine, by social media, by everybody else. Now, I want you to pause for a moment. Who's thinking for you? Are you thinking for yourself? Majority of the time, no. I have a handful of clients that say never really self-reflected. Why? Because we're always thinking about others. We're not thinking about, hey, what is my inner experience? What am I feeling right now? What are the emotions that are coming through? How do I deal with them? And oftentimes we need a coach, we need a guide to help us through this process, and you're not alone. Remember that you are the master of your inner architecture. You can calm yourself when you choose to. You can pick what you choose out of media if you want to. And if you don't, you say, no, thank you. If you want to pick from social media, you pick and choose. But don't be the victim of the fad culture or what the Kardashians put out there. Are you allowing other people to think for you and for them to rule your life? A lot of anxiety and unhappiness because you're living by someone else's standards on a screen. And this path is not without practice. You have to stay consistent. You have to practice it. You have to go after it. It is not a one-day deal. It is not, I wake up and I feel amazing. No, it's every day. It's every day. I meditate every single day, twice a day. So my life is calm and peaceful because of it. So it is just as important as the water that I drink, the food that I put into my mouth. If I have time for that, I got to make time for meditation. What does the research show? So I've included a couple of research studies, randomized controlled trials, because these are the most robust types of studies, especially in the medical world. And so I wanted to share some with you. This is not a comprehensive list. This is just a flavoring of what we're seeing in research. So they did this study, randomized controlled study, that found mindfulness-based therapy over 56 weeks helped with short-term and long-term healthy mood maintenance. And participants reported experience a better quality of life. Let me tell you how powerful this is. I cannot, as a physician, prescribe any medication or any amounts of medication to an individual to give them this. And guess what? This is reachable whenever you want it. Whenever you want it, you can sit down for 5 minutes or whatever you're doing. You feel anxiety come on and you just notice your breathing. You take 3 deep breaths. Relaxation in, stresses out. Relaxation in, stress out. You do that 3 times, I already feel relaxed and a little dizzy, which may not be a bad thing for me in this moment, right? And it allows me to be present right here, right now, not in my brain, just wandering off the monkey brain from branch to branch. I'm here with you. And I see you, I hear the clock, I hear the dog, I hear the birds in the background. I hear the patient that is sitting in front of me, and I'm listening with all my senses. I'm feeling what is going on in my environment. That's mindfulness. It's a gift. It's a gift to you, and it's a gift to those that surround you. Another 8-week study of mindfulness showed that anxiety went down, and that's huge. I mean, I can give you benzodiazepines all day long, and it actually makes your anxiety worse because there's rebound anxiety and a panic attack. Sure, it is used for, a quick minute, and you feel good for a little bit, and then it comes back on even worse than before. Why? Because it's not sustainable. It is a medication with a lot of side effects. I see people with benzodiazepine overdoses every day in the hospital. It is not good. It is not fun. It is that people are trying to numb themselves, and instead of numbing, let's engage. So when we see that something that's so reachable and free, you can change your life with, why not do it? Why not engage with it? What do we see in the brain? So I'm a neuroscientist from my undergrad. I went to Emory University, and I'm really interested in neuroplasticity specifically. But what we see is usually we're in fight or flight. Okay, we are constantly trying to perform, run around, make more money, take care of the kids. For our jobs, we're being bing, all the way to the nighttime, and we're watching the news with the war going on. What are we? Rest or digest? No. Fight or flight? Yes. Fight or flight lights up this area in the brain called the amygdala. Okay, that's where we feel like we got to run away from the bear or from the lion. The classic story is, and we're not being, chased by anything or anyone. It's all up here nowadays. It's all on our technology and in our brains. It is no longer that physical threat. But this is an ancient part of our brain, which is absolutely essential to our survival. But in nature, when I'm in this enclosed, beautiful space that I'm in, what am I running away from? So it's all up here. So if we're able to control our inner experience, then how much more beautiful life would we have? So what meditation does, it decreases that fight or flight response. So when my adolescent comes to me asking for something simple, I'm not, or maybe complicated, I'm not seeing it as, oh my God, I want to, yell at them. No, I'm going to step back and be like, oh, I'm not in fight or flight. I can make a sound decision and have a logical guidance for my adolescent. What does meditation do? Helps manage chronic pain so you can have less opioids on board, supports working memory. I'm going to show you a study that looks at this, improves quality of sleep. Huge, 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 huge. We spend billions of dollars in medications for increased quality of sleep on medications that have all kinds of side effects, and they may not even give us the high quality of sleep that we need. Meditation does that. Restores childlike wonder. I'm going to talk about why this happens also. There's brain studies on this. Improves relationship satisfaction. We know why, because of the areas of the brain that it lights up. Reduces stress. Bolsters cognitive flexibility, so you're not rigid in your ways, and you can, go with the flow as things come. Nothing is constantly a challenge and headbutting with your adolescent. It may lower blood pressure. I'm going to get into the hormones of why. Improves cognition, decreases emotional reactivity, as we talked about, and it increases empathy. And there is a brain center for empathy we're going to get into. So what are the benefits to the brain? Let's look at this. I'm going to move this over here so we can look at all the words. So we were just talking about the amygdala. Amygdala is the limbic brain, part of the limbic brain, and it's responsible for that fight or flight. So meditation decreases the activity in the limbic brain. It increases activity in the prefrontal cortex. It's right behind the forehead. So what does the prefrontal cortex do? It is responsible for empathy, insight. That's where creativity happens, response flexibility. So instead of reacting and yelling, you're going to stand back and be like, I have all this time. I can actually, in this moment, take my time and make a sound decision, or maybe even guide my teenager instead of yell at them. Emotional regulation, body regulation, morality, making better decisions. So this is the decision-making part of the brain. Intuition, you're more open to those creative juices and the energy that's around you, and you make better decisions based on those intuitive feelings. Attuned communication, you're more present with the person, and fear modulation. So meditation increases all of these beautiful, wonderful human activities in the prefrontal cortex that we need to function the best we can and live the happiest life that we deserve. What else does it do in the brain? All kinds of stuff. Increases gyrification. So it increases the gray matter in the brain. So you're smarter, actually. Your memory is better. Your focus is better. We talked about some of these already. Mood is better. Brain function is better. There's more synchronicity. We'll talk about that too. So this is a study that looked at, and by the way, all the references are at the end of the slides. Feel free to check these out. Really great studies. In this one, they looked at the left hippocampus specifically. Hippocampus is part of the brain where memory formation occurs. And so meditation, obviously, as you can see from controls, which they had such little activity in the hippocampus, now we have a huge, significant activity in the hippocampus from mindfulness and meditation. So increases memory formation. So if you're feeling like, oh, my memory is not so great, maybe meditation is what you need. What does the meditative brain look like? And where does it light up? So I'm going to be talking about mainly the prefrontal cortex, which is the area of the brain that sits right behind the forehead and eyebrows. And this is where it starts lighting up in the beginning of meditation. You see the ventral medial prefrontal cortex light up. Then as you advance into meditation, let's say like this is what we see in about 5-10 minutes of meditation, the lateral PCF, the PFC, medial prefrontal cortex, and so on lights up. And then what we see specifically here is this higher medial region of the prefrontal cortex that lights up later in the meditation. Let's say 15 to 30 minutes is what we're seeing. A surprise for you guys at the end, so stay tuned. This is an amazing human gentleman just a wonderful, wonderful being, Mr. Devon Sandoval, who is part of the New Mexico United soccer team. He's the forward. He was the captain last year. And do you think he meditates? He's a peak performer. He's a professional athlete. All right, let's talk about neurotransmitters and hormones as I promised. So we're going to take a look at serotonin. Serotonin is the happy molecule in the brain. When serotonin levels are down, we're feeling depressed and unhappy and, oh, nothing is right. And, with our teens, this is what we're seeing too. They have a lot of fluctuation in their neurotransmitters and the happy neurotransmitters, and they're just trying to figure it out. The new parts of the brain are being formed. The prefrontal cortex for them is being formed. It does not get fully formed until age 25-ish, as we know it right now. But it's interesting to know that all the like anguish and challenge that they're feeling too is because their brain is changing so much and their neurotransmitter levels are changing so much. So when you're feeling down, it means that your serotonin is probably down. And that's why we have a lot of SSRIs, SNRIs. Those are serotonin reuptake inhibitors to increase the level of serotonin in the brain, makes you happier and so forth. However, I have yet to see that majority of my patients actually really truly benefit from antidepressants that I mentioned, like something like Prozac, and we have so many of them now, but a lot of my patients come in stacked with like 5 different antidepressant, anxiolytics, you name it, and it is not helping their inner experience and the turmoil and the anxiety that they're feeling or the depression that they're feeling. In fact, they're getting worse. They're getting numbed out. They can't think clearly, they tell me. And like lower these medications and come off of them and increase the amount of meditation or start meditating, we actually see an increase in serotonin. That is your natural body producing it without any exogenous material or drugs that can potentially have all kinds of side effects. I mean, we don't want side effects. Like, these molecules are very necessary for us. And if we can do it without medication, why not? It's the best way. The natural way is the best way. What we also see meditation does to our brain is increase GABA. GABA is a neurotransmitter that's inhibitory. Okay, so if I feel super excited and or in a fight or flight mode and anxious, GABA, with increasing GABA, it makes me less anxious, right? That's what we want. And meditation does that naturally for us. It also improves the circadian rhythm. The circadian rhythm is about how the cycle of awakening and sleeping. So, our ancestors used to wake up at dawn when the sun would rise. They would get sun in their eyes because they were outside a lot for majority of the day. 12 hours later, the melatonin is being produced by the pineal gland. And here you go, you start, it's dusk, the sun goes down, so do you. And that's the schedule my 19-month-old is on. But we make sure that he gets the sun at least 20 minutes a day. It's huge for our well-being. And so is meditation, as we can see. It absolutely regulates how we wake up and how we sleep and the quality of the sleep. You could be sleeping but have bad quality, and that's all kinds of health dysfunctions, creates dysfunction in us. That's a whole different talk that I may be doing in this webinar series. So stay tuned for that. And then we also see a decrease in cortisol. When we're in fight or flight, we have very high cortisol levels. You may, start after a period of time that you've had cortisol on board, and you are stressed out for a long time. We've all been there. A lot of us are in there right now as we speak. And what happens is that you feel very fatigued. Your immune system is weakened. You are much more prone to heart disease. We know that long-term stress can absolutely cause heart disease and myocardial infarction or heart attacks. A lot of research on this: high blood pressure, blood sugar, digestive issues. Like a lot of us that have irritable bowel syndrome or disease, we have it much worse when we're stressed out, and especially for a prolonged period of time. We have anxiety, depression, headaches because of cortisol. And guess what? I can't even prescribe anything for you to make this happen. where your cortisol is naturally decreased. Can't even prescribe a medication for that. Meditation does that. What's really cool, this is a really cool study that was published in 2005 by in the Journal of Endocrinology, looking at DHEA, which decreases insulin, decreases glucose. What I found really cool is these two things: increases muscle mass and fat tissue. Decreases fat tissue, increases muscle mass. Okay, so what does that mean? Does that mean that if I sit and meditate, it's as if I'm working out? That's what my body is registering? Yes, it does. Let me show you how. So there's another group of molecules that is involved in this. And let me tell you, this is a Department of Psychiatry at Mass General and Harvard Medical School, published 2020. Beta endorphins get increased, and beta endorphins attenuate the stress response, and they decrease the inflammatory marker release. So they decrease cytokines. And you might have heard about this in, COVID patients, that their inflammatory cytokines get, released magnificently. And it gets, that is a cause of higher mortality in those patients. Guess what? Meditation actually decreases the cytokines and increases the levels of anti-inflammatory cytokines. How cool is that? So it decreases inflammation by decreasing the inflammatory cytokines, and decreases inflammation by increasing the level of anti-inflammatory cytokines. Doesn't get better than that. Also increases the growth hormone. And this is really one of the reasons that you have increased muscle mass and decreased fat tissue. All right, we're back with Mr. Sandoval, who is a superstar player of the week. This was 2017. He continues to be just a superstar, and we'll get into it in a moment why. So I wanted to go into some of the understanding of what happens with brain waves during meditation. I find that this stuff fascinating. So as we are in the awake state, we are engaged with beta waves. So my brain right now, as I'm presenting to you, I'm somewhere between beta alpha, okay? Because I practice meditation, I'm more towards this. But in the beta wave is like when I am running a code, I'm in high beta. Now, if I'm an advanced meditator, even in a code situation, I'm able to keep myself in an alpha mode. But majority of humans right now, they are running in high beta. Majority of adolescents are running in high beta. They're on technology constantly. There's so much going on. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And they feel anxious. There's no wonder everybody's feeling anxious, right? So high beta is asynchronous, and it looks like crazy squiggly lines up and down in different amplitudes. And the waves are not at a particular frequency that you can discern. It's just going crazy, right? And then you get into alpha waves in the beginning of meditation, where you see more sinusoidal waves. As you can see, there's more predictability to it. They are slower, much slower than beta waves. And then you get into theta waves when you're deeper into meditation. I want to say like 10, 15 minutes in, and then delta waves, maybe between 30 minutes to an hour, you get into delta waves. Now, in beta waves, do you think there's any creativity that happens when you're fight or flighting and you're afraid of the world and afraid of life and afraid of your neighbors? No, there's no room for that. This is where the amygdala is very highly engaged, and everybody's a bad guy, and I don't want to be outside. I don't want to see anybody, feelings of violence towards others and myself. That's beta waves. And then we go into alpha through delta, and that is more of the meditative states. This is where the amygdala is no longer engaged, and prefrontal cortex is engaged, empathy, compassion, and sound decision-making and insight is engaged. Devin Sandoval, and I'd like to share with you his practice and his take on meditation. So let me go ahead and share screen with you.
I meditate on a daily basis, twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day, just depends. because it makes me a better person, better human, better husband and dad. Um, if I'm anxious, I'm probably not the best husband or dad, probably a little shorter fuse. But if I'm present, I can enjoy the moment. I can react to a situation that might be difficult. I could react in a better way.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We had a very special session, and I'm very excited to share with you once the course is out. Reach out if you're interested. This is for adults, children, whoever needs it, and we all need it right now. So, what types of meditation are there? There's guided, there's unguided. There is Vipassana, which is mostly based on a sensory engagement meditation, transcendental meditation, breath meditation, when you are more in tune with your breath, and breath is the fire that connects us with life. There's mindfulness meditation when you are very engaged with what is happening with your surroundings, and again, that's through your sensory intake. Focused meditation, which is really, really important nowadays, especially with we are labeling a lot of people as ADD or ADHD. I promise you, if we did more focused meditation exercises, we would not be as scattered minded. Of course, we're scattered. Our notifications on our phones are on, and we're constantly feeling like, oh, we gotta go, we gotta go, gotta go. And you feel scattered minded. And it's not necessarily that you need medication, it's that you need a practice to focus your mind. There's movement meditation where that you're walking or jogging or dancing. There's mantra meditation where you're singing a particular word like Om for a prolonged period of time. One of my favorites is loving kindness meditation. I invite you after this session to YouTube loving kindness meditation and do it with your adolescent today. There's spiritual meditation. And how do I start? It's simple. There's many apps right now out there. Insight Timer is a great one. You have to sift through it. It's free. It has a lot of different, thousands of different teachers and meditations, live, not live, guided, not guided, just a timer. Some music that's really good for the brain. Headspace is another great one that I started a few years ago myself to use. Gives great structure. Calm is similar to Headspace, but not as I don't know. I didn't get into Calm as much because I was so much into Headspace at the moment, and then Insight Timer. So how you start is really just, find a quiet spot. And this takes like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, sit comfortably. I like to sit on the ground so I'm exchanging energy with earth underneath me and it is supporting me. I have a couple of meditations that I've led myself with Devin Sandoval, and he was a part of it as well. But stay tuned for that. That's part of our program. Then you focus on your breathing. It doesn't matter if it's fast, slow, just note your breathing. Just be aware that you're breathing, and that's it, and what's moving in your body. And that's where we start. And then if you want, then you can actually get into slowing down your breath and seeing how that makes you feel. Take 3 minutes and do that. Take 5 breaths and do that. There are no rules. Just do what feels good to you. In the beginning, it's nice to have some guided meditation because guidance is, and then you start creating those neurons and those connections in your brain, and neurons that fire together, wire together. Then you have a plethora of different experiences to go back to and utilize for your practice. And then, take 5 to 10 minutes, and that's it. And see how you feel. This is my 19-month-old, just having fun. When they're this little, it's much more fun to be playful with them, easier to be playful with them. They don't have as many barriers, but it's beautiful. My 14-year-old, I wanted to include a picture, but she declined the permission for me to share, which I completely respect. And throughout my relationship with her, she is wonderful, intelligent, loving, intuitive, a healer. And she was from my previous marriage, and then I got divorced. Then I got remarried, had another baby. In the meantime, went through medical school. She was born in medical school, and went through residency. She grew up with my parents as her second parents. We moved across the country together. We've gone through a lot. And as a teenager, there's a lot of like, sometimes it feels like you're butting heads, but when I'm meditating, and I have meditated that day, I don't feel it. I don't feel it as much. And she doesn't feel it, because it's like, okay, well, she's going through something that's not personal. It's not about me. It's about her. It's about a situation or feeling that she's having within herself, and she may not feel comfortable sharing with me. But I used to at some point be more forceful about it. Hey, talk to me, or do what I'm asking you to do, or feeling controlling. Because at this age, when they're 19 months old, you have all the control, what they eat, what they do, where you take them, all that. As teenagers, as adolescents, you don't have that control, and as we shouldn't, but we have to change the style of parenting as they grow older. I can no longer treat her as she is this age. I have to treat her as a 14-year-old, and she's pretty equal to me, and with understanding that she needs guidance and boundaries still, right? And they always will, we always do. No matter what age you are, there has to be love and boundaries in a balance together. So with that, some of you had asked me about if I have a program and what I have to offer. Reach out to me at consciousphysician.org, and ask me about it. I'm more than happy to connect with you and talk, and even custom design an individual program for you. You're not alone. Reach out, okay? And there are so many tools. There's so many things. I have developed what I do and the practices that I am talking about and the evidence behind them over the past 6 years. And you get to this point and to live the happiest life you deserve in only 8 to 12 sessions with me, because we work hard. And I don't just take anyone, I take people who are absolutely committed to their self-growth, to their happiness, to their inner experience, and they want it. They want to have the happiest life they deserve. And your kids deserve it too. This is work that is we cannot afford not to do. We cannot afford not to take responsibility for our own happiness. I also have a family program. Again, I have it only take just like 2 families at a time. It is very intensive work. It is work, and we get deep into it, and we work together. We custom make it, and we teach and we talk, and it's a two-way road. It's beautiful what comes out of these sessions. I also have the Happiest Adolescent program, where we work with professional athletes, and as you saw, Devin being one of the top ones, and we have more. So reach out if you have questions. I'm more than happy to connect. It's a privilege to be here.